Hello everybody, and today I wish to talk to you about term limits, and this is going to come in the form of what I think the issues are with term limits. Now, term limits themselves is an issue that a lot of people seem to want to have because of what's happening in the House and the Senate, in which there seems to be a lot of establishment type people within there. We have people like Nancy Pelosi who are career-long politicians, and they make things incredibly difficult. They're entrenched, they're getting corrupted by power, and people think fresh new blood will help out. And now if fresh new blood can help out, those are typically going to be endemic or homegrown politicians, people that get the support of their own community. The issue is a lot of these senators and a lot of these congressmen and women often get the support of the GOP or the Democrat Party in general, and thus they're getting paid by the party and they're going to be hand-picked. Having term limits won't change any of that. Take, for example, this. I know it comes from MSNBC, but what they say is, according to MapLight, which they say is a non-profit, nonpartisan research organization that tracks money in politics, House candidates who won in 2012 raked in an average of $1.6 million in campaign contributions. And a lot of these are often going to come through the GOP, with the help of the GOP or the Democrat Party. So that's quite a bit of money, especially if you're going to be non-affiliated with them, which we're going to want to have if you're going to be running for office, to stay away from the swamp and to stay away from the establishment, which is the issue. For a House, that's just too much money for the average person. You're going to need the GOP. You're going to need a millionaire in your pocket, something along those lines. Then we look over towards the Senate, in which they report at least, on average, $10 million. Quite frankly, that's just not going to happen. So term limits sound like a great idea, but often with a term limit, that just means this GOP and the Democrat Party are just going to find someone new that fits in their wheelhouse that keeps pushing it forward. Which leads into my second issue, is term limits are more of a cognitive bias, something to allow us to say, I did it. I don't have to have the personal responsibility anymore. I'm voting for somebody new, but they'll just be the same old Joe Schmo. Because all we want to do is not take personal responsibility. Instead of term limits, which we still should have term limits, but instead of a term limit, what we should have is individuals coming forward and saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to make my vote actually matter and put it appropriately. Look at every single candidate and vote appropriately. Run and vote for the people that don't have much often. And sometimes it's necessary to sacrifice an election to prove a point. Now, again, I said this in a previous video, I don't know if we're at the point where we can sacrifice an election anymore. But the whole point is we need to have the personal accountability element of it all. Because even with just a term limit, you're still just going to have the GOP picking whoever they want to pick. These numbers are way too high for you or me or anyone else that doesn't have the money or the backing, a homegrown campaign to really get. And sure, you have those rare examples that can do it. You do have a few good senators, right? A few good congressmen and women. But that's simply not enough if you want to change how the government fundamentally is ran, or to change a party fundamentally. You need to have individuals step up and really push for themselves, and which, simply put, it doesn't seem like the Republican Party really is doing right now. They want to find an escape route. A lot of conservatives want to find an escape route right now, and they're shooting wildly, like we saw over in DC, where they want to blame the election fraud system. And yet, we're not changing at a fundamental level. These senators and these congressmen and women, we're not changing who we pick. We had 80 senators decline to vote against the Electoral College. 140 did. A certification of the results. It means 80 of them, and fundamentally, you know, at least a couple, 10, 20, 30 of the 140 Republicans that voted to objectify against it are still swamped. They did it just because it appeases their voter base, not because they truly believed it. You still have to vote those people out, but they get in term after term after term. And that's the issue. We just want this means to make ourselves feel better, but unless we as voters get informed and make the proper decisions along the way, that's simply just not going to happen. Anyways, please let me know down in the comment section below what you think so I can get a better perspective on all of this. Please leave a like, subscribe, and as always, God bless America.